All right, topic number three. This is the big one. This is why we're all here for. This is the big show. What is one thing you wish organizations would reverse course on when it comes to AI? Um, let's see, Julius. I think you can go first for this one.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's the massive layoffs when they started this because most of the AI transformation projects initially was targeted to automate all of the tasks, majority of the tasks are to do away of the people. So I think if they can reverse that, because you can see in the study the some of the organizations now are rehiring people 30% more and the frontliners. So I think that would be the one that I would like them to reverse course. And then instead of laying off more people, just reskilling them for the future of the organization, for the future of the new jobs that AI transformation will create.
Perfect. Marco, what do you want people to reverse course on?
Well, I agree wholeheartedly with Julius. Those hiring and firing decisions. I think that's well, let's say, the letting people go, reverse course on that, but then also a bit of what we talked about, just a moment ago, reverse course on using AI solely to hire folks if you don't have those safeguards in place. And so, in a lot of organizations, you have to go through, the ATS. It's this first level of filtering. What happens if that first level is screwed up? I mean, that's the nicest way I can say it, right? And so now you have some very qualified, important, talented candidates that are being excluded from the process, excluded from the uh, if you but there are people that are not making it further in the process because they're initially screened out. And what we find, just the research shows, is that unfortunately, if the data set being used, and again, I mentioned this a bit, is based on a biased system, then there's going to be biased outcomes. And so I want organizations to reverse course on that. And I want organizations to not jump to implement AI because everyone is using AI. I think that's the biggest piece. Some organizations have no idea what they're doing, but hey, if you're not using AI, you're gonna get left behind, and you need this and you need that. Don't get me wrong, I want you to use AI, but I want you to understand it before you implement it. And so ensure that the people in charge, ensure that the people are making decisions are informed on how they're making a decision, informed on the AI that they're using, instead of assigning that to one person, maybe the CTO, maybe their technology person, and trying to hopefully get on board with that. That's not the proper way to do it. We need to undo that, come back, get people skilled, upskilled on it, then start the implementation. And I promise you, AI is going to be around long enough that you don't have to worry about getting too far behind if you do it right. But I'd rather have you take the time to do it right than do it wrong and then have to undo it and then start all over, which is what we're seeing a lot in the market today.
You're 100% right. And I just did some research last couple of days, and I'll be sending this out to my newsletter as well as out, to more people in regards to some things like I'm seeing myself in the market in regards to ATS, and for me having my own company, it's a little bit hard for me to see the insights to some of these things. So I'm trying to get as much information as I can, but if I'm a recruiter, right, I've been recruiting for a while, and I get a ATS system, it has AI in it. It's going to rank all my candidates for me. So then I'm going to look at the top, like anyone who gets more than the 80%. Cool, I'm going to do that, right? And because the market is so full of just wonderful talent, I'll probably have a good chunk of people who are more than 80%. Am I going to look at that person who's 45% to audit my system to make sure, like, hey, is that right? Did this get it right? And then what we're also seeing in the market from hiring teams, from employers, is they're complaining right now that, oh, we have too many candidates applying for jobs and we can't get through all the resumes. And for me, it's like, cool, hire back people to read the resumes. Like, it kind of just makes, sense. And then you have those human beings actually looking at those systems and those resumes, and they can say, okay, here's a real human. This one's not a real human. Because if you're just relying on the tool, you could miss a ton of great candidates if you're just relying on the tool. Len, please go ahead.
So I would what I wish organizations would reverse course on is number one, stop measuring whether people are using AI and start measuring whether the work has actually changed. And the typical scenario is companies are selecting a platform, typically Copilot. They roll out a policy. They have IT or the vendor do prompt training, and then they use their dashboards to say to their boards, "Hey, this many people are using it. This is how many prompts, et cetera, et cetera." And then what are our employees hearing? They're spying on me. So they'll start using their own personal devices and use other platforms that are not governed within the organization. And companies are checking the box saying, we have an AI strategy, which really just means you have people using AI. That's it. And the most common way employees are using it are usually for writing documents, research, and emails, and that's it. And you're spending a tremendous amount of money and time on having your employees write better emails, which is not that the capacity of what AI can do is so much greater. So, and the other piece is to bring the people who are owning the work into the discussions and into the plan and into the process. And I still to this day cannot believe how many companies do not even include AI, I mean, not AI, HR, maybe AI too, on their task force or on their strategy panels because who are the employees going to go to if they're frustrated? Either HR or their frontline supervisors. And if the employees are going to frontline supervisors or AI or sorry, or HR, then their messaging has to be in place. It's the answer shouldn't be oh, this is just another thing management's doing. So you need to be transparent and get your people as part of the process, not just your IT department.
No, absolutely. And I think that what we have seen is such a siloed approach to, AI, where the companies say like, okay, big guys, you guys want AI, cool, here you go. Everyone else figure it out. Now we're going to lay you guys off and we're going to increase our stock. It doesn't work that way. That's not how HR works. And when you're looking at organizational development, learning development, like those are two really huge parts of HR that's going to make your company successful. Not the tool, not just saying, hey, save 10 hours a week is definitely going to be, more than that. Clarence, I think you're next.
Yeah, great points, Lynn, by the way. But I'll give kind of a short answer and a long answer here because I think that context really matters when it comes to this question. The short answer is three things. I would say education, communication, and leadership. And much of this has already been kind of stated by Marco and Lynn. But the long answer is that companies jumped at AI implementation way too quickly at scale. And I get it, it was shiny object syndrome, but they told employees to use it without giving them ample training. And then they laid them off and blamed it on AI. And now we're 3 years in and we have way more data giving us real insight into AI's impact. And now we need to act on that data. It's a perfect time for us to reverse course, but that takes a human skill that people struggle with. And Marco talked about this a little bit earlier, accountability, but also humility to say, like, we messed up and we need to reverse course. And the data that really nails it, and I spent a lot of time in this report, but Gallup found that the single strongest predictor of whether AI adoption actually works is whether an employee's direct manager is championing it. But when we look at manager engagement over the last few years, it has plummeted. And just in the last 12 months alone, from 2024 to 2025, it dropped 5 points to 22%. Only 22% of managers are actively engaged in the work that they're doing. And I always say that we've treated AI the same way that we've treated managers. We promoted it too quickly with no training, and we made it the linchpin of an organization without the support behind it. And of course, AI will never be disengaged, but that disengagement is going to trickle down to the people that are expected to use it and manage it. And what we severely mismanaged when it comes to AI implementation is the investment in the training of the people who would actually be using it. And instead of empowering them with the tool, we made it their enemy. And in a lot of situations, we made it their replacement. There was a recent NDER study or survey that was conducted of nearly 6,000 executives, and they found that about 70% of organizations now use AI, but nearly 90% report no measurable impact on productivity over the last 3 years. But individually, though, at the employee level, those users do report feeling an impact on their own work. But what companies aren't seeing is the misalignment that's brewing quietly underneath all of that. Because when you see thousands of people laid off in the name of AI, you can't help but worry that your job isn't secure either, and that the tool that you're being required to use might eventually replace you. So naturally, you become much more apprehensive to use the tool. And then the misalignment shows up in a bunch of different ways. But if we just pause and we take our time to really educate employees on the benefits of AI, ethical use, how to lead each other and ourselves through it, how to lead the machine, how to not use AI, then it eases this dissonance that we're all experiencing, and it empowers people to use it for their own benefit, which will trickle into the organization. And then if we communicate better about what our intentions are as organizational leaders, how we envision the role of AI in the company, and we build a psychologically safe environment that allows for open dialogue about the fears as much as the ideas that come with AI, then all of it becomes a lot easier to align with on how it becomes part of our culture. And then the last thing I'll say is that we have to define what it actually means to lead the machine. And I think that this is the most critical thing that we have to do today, with LLMs being part of everybody's daily work and now AI agents entering the mix. We have to know and define what it means to lead people alongside leading the machine. Because to lead complex teams that involve both humans and machines is a complexity that we have never dealt with at this scale. And as Marco also said earlier, emotional intelligence is going to matter now more than ever, because we have to lead ourselves first in order to effectively lead everyone and everything else.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.